is not straight jacketed. Life is not negative or positive only. Life is not only right or left. Life is not only sin and holiness. You know, life comes in all sorts of form, colors, you know. So when we have a dualistic way of thinking, worldview, or way of seeing things, it means that our way of looking at life is just two. Each time you're talking or acting or doing things, you're looking at only two options. That is dualistic thinking, which is something spiritual men and women, psychologists, and people, innovators, even are calling our attention to. You can be an innovator when you think dualistically. If you want to even go the track of society or just the human endeavor. Yeah, because scientists and people who have invented things can never be dualistic people because you know how it is with creating a new thing. You know, I mean, you have this worldview that every and anything is possible. If you're thinking that every and anything is possible, it means you're covering all the angles. You're covering both the right angle, the left, the one in front, the backward one, the one above. So that gives you a general worldview of how things operate in life. And that's something too that tends to bring issues up with people, you know. Let's say you have a friend. I mean, the other friend is always having this straight jacketed way of thinking. It's either we do it this way or we do it that way, but it doesn't ever work. So, what is the way forward? And as we know, this dualistic kind of thought pattern has never helped any nation, any society, or people, or community. It can't even help you as an individual, it can help me too. Gosh, what do you think? What skin color are you seeing? Akash is asking me if I'm black. Can somebody tell him in the comment section the color of my skin? You're asking me if I'm black. Oh, you know that this just comes to me like, hi, rapid response thing comes as a dualistic way of thinking. See, Akash is bringing to the fore what we're looking at tonight. From Akash's question, I just knocked on dualistic thinking. So Akash is looking on the end of skin color or race, black, white, you know. That's a dualistic way of thinking. My skin color doesn't really matter, you know. Never mind. I'm not angry. Oh God, that's wonderful. Thank you guys for joining. Please share the live. I do this almost at this time every day. It's titled on Facebook, it's called Love Zone. Almost midnight heart to heart chats. So on heart to heart chats, I like to bring to the fore issues that human beings need to evaluate in our lives for real, I was talking about dualistic thinking, us having the idea that it's either white, black, it's either left, right, it's either my way, your way, it's either us, them, as people in psychology talk. When I belong to a group, it's us. Anybody outside our group way of thinking or acting is them. So we are like us and them, us theming. It's a kind of term in neuropsychology, which is an area that is coming to have, you know, a strong um play in spirituality and religion, theology. Us them, dualistic thinking. So I'm saying we should try as much as possible to avoid dualistic ways of acting and thinking. Especially you find this in spirituality. One spiritual woman will wake up somewhere. Yeah, no problem, Akash. And then they will say, I'm more spiritual than this person. Or if you don't dress in a certain way, you can't be seen as a Christian or a good man or woman. That kind of thing. You know, we must pray, bind, and cast in a certain kind of way. If you're not doing it, you don't belong to the camp. Even Jesus's apostles or disciples defaulted on that. They came and told Jesus, we saw some people or one man praying and casting out demons, and we tried to stop him. And Jesus was like, for what? For them, they're like, if those guys are not part of Jesus's team, then they are not for real. You know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. God is one. Inshallah. God is one. Even though we have diverse ways of calling God. Religion is another issue too. Some will say it's either you're Muslim or you're Christian. It's either you're Jew or you're this. No, no, no. Life is not about either or for. Those are dualistic ways of thinking and acting that has given us so much trouble in this world. We are all educated men and women. We've been around the world, met people, interacted with people from different cultures. That should give us a whole new view of life in general. Wherever we go, we should be able to imbibe something, you know, learn the ways of those people we meet and not downplay the importance of any culture or other people's way of life. If we respect other people's religion, their cultures, as bad as it may seem to us, because I tell you, no culture is bad. I mean, for them, it's good. If you're outside, then you begin to complain. It's when you're in that circle that you can fully understand, or what we would like to say, like, are you the one wearing the shoes? If you're not the one wearing the shoes, you don't know where it pinches. So for you to say it's either my way or this other way and not the other person's way means you're thinking dualistically. And that does not lead us to transformation. The way to transformation is to avoid the two-way point of thinking that life should exist this or that. No, life can be this, life can be that, life can be there, life can be here, life is everywhere. So we need to have this open mind, a large heart to be able to accept whatever it is that we meet people doing. Hence, it's good for them. It means that thing has something, you know, good about it. Likewise, religions. There's no religion that does not have anything beautiful to offer. Because at the end of the day, every religion talks about upholding life, the life that God has given, human dignity. No religion says kill people. Have you heard of such a religion? There's no religion like that. No religion says it's good to kill people. You know, your back is on tree. TikTok. No religion says it's good to kill, except some people in that religion, due to whatever personal issues, can kill or do whatever. It doesn't mean that the religion in general permits such thing. You know, the way to transformation is to avoid the two-way thinking that it's this way or that way. It's not just this way or that way. It's every which way. It's every which way. You know, that brings us to the point of wisdom. There are certain questions we need to begin to ask ourselves in this life. Questions lead to beautiful answers in life. As a person, I like to ask questions. Like when I travel, the few times I've been opportune to travel internationally, I'm in the airport. I'm trying to get to a certain gate where to catch my flight and stuff like that. I would like to ask lots of people, even though it's just always there on the screen, just to be very sure. Because I've missed my flight once, and that was a bad experience. So once I'm in any airports, even though I watch the screen, look at my whatever, you know, my itinerary, I will keep asking people who work in the airports, where is this gate? Does that lead to this gate? I can even ask up to 10 times where a particular gate is, where I'm catching my flight, because that gives me a sense of awareness, that I can never miss my way. So imagine me asking up to 10, 6 or 5 people one particular question. It means that there can be different answers to that question. You see how it is. But most times we always just think that it's just a one-way traffic. Life can never be a one-way traffic. You know, bringing us much more back to spirituality, because that's where this whole problem always begins. Religion is always an issue that brings up problems. Oh, you're not holy. I am holy. We are holy. We dress in a certain way. So when they see people dressing in different ways, they say these people are bad people. No one is totally bad and no one is totally good. I was talking about that yesterday. But dualistic ways of thinking that does not enhance the human relationship. We need to begin to ask ourselves questions with wisdom, you know, questions that evoke feelings in us, that even moves us to do things in different ways, from what we would normally do. Wisdom questions. One of such wisdom question I'm aware of is it possible really, friends, for us as human beings to live generously all the time? That's a good question coming from wisdom. Because generally, what we find out there is not a life of generosity from even me and all of us. We question that what is the essence of doing good when other people are just ready to pounce on you at every given opportunity, to usurp what you have, to take your stuff, to just be wicked. Somebody will say, what is the essence of doing good? I might just stay on my own and, I don't want, I don't want, let me stay on my own. Can we go beyond the point of accepting that doing things differently can cause change, especially in ourselves? So, from the beginning, I had mentioned that most times when we cry for change, we are telling other people to change. And that's not the way forward. If we want change, we are the ones that should first of all make a shift, you know, make a detour, reverse from our usual stance, to try to understand why or how the other people want to maintain their own stance always. If you don't shift, you can get a different idea to the issue at stake, you know. So change must first begin from me, you, and all the people who crave change. Change does not necessarily begin from outside. And that's why this prayer called the prayer of serenity is really important that we all get used to. It says, Lord, teach me how to remain serene, in the face of issues. Let me bring the prayer. It's in my prayer book. Oh, mm. Hello. The prayer of serenity or serenity prayer. Oh God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Most times as we clamor for change, they are the things we can't change. So we move to the next line of the prayer, which says, the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference between having serenity to accept when things are not changing and knowing that we also can have the courage to cause change. So that's a beautiful prayer. It's not necessarily a Christian prayer. We can even call it words of counsel or an idiom or something like that. Oh God, grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things that I cannot change. Because at the end of the day, there are things we just can't change. We just can't keep putting our heads and breaking it in and saying, change must happen, change must happen. And that's why sometimes people give their life for certain causes. But at the end of the day, we can see or try to imagine that maybe they are not supposed to even die. So one proverb says, people can live to fight another day. Can you live or just be patient and wait to fight another day? Because not all the fights can end in one day if we tell ourselves the truth. We need to ask then for the courage, if a situation arrives or comes that we can change, then we go on to change it. But if not, we need the peace of mind or serenity to stay still. Because I tell you, friends, peace is not only when things are calm or when there is no war. Peace is the ability of a person's heart or disposition to remain calm in the face of turmoil. You still retain your peace of mind, that serenity within you, knowing that there is another day to fight, to speak up, or whatever. No, because some people keep saying, let us pray for peace. Let us pray for peace. Oh God, grant us the grace not to fight. My friends, there will always be misunderstandings in families, in workplaces, in companies, in groups. From misunderstandings, we can all begin to understand ourselves. You know, so we need to begin to ask and wonder aloud. It's good to ask and wonder aloud, friends. And what are we going to be wondering aloud over? Asking ourselves wisdom questions like, can I be a generous human being? Can I see life as something beautiful that I can embrace? Can I see the divine, the hand of God working in situations that I even feel are not good enough? Because many people ask, how come God is there and people die, good people die? Well, God has given human beings the free will to live. God never forces anyone to do anything. So when people utilize their free will to kill and destroy, you say God sat down there and God is watching? Oh, God. When we talk like that, are we really in tune with God? God cannot lord God's self over you. You have free will. Somebody sits down and begins to think evil about another person. And at the end of the day, when the cup is filled, the person commits the evil. And we say God was watching. I mean, God does not tolerate evil. God does not permit evil. But human beings have free will. And they do it. They go on to utilize their free will to commit evil and all sorts of things. It is not God. Talk about natural disasters and things like that. The activities of human beings are affecting nature, and Mother Nature is angry. And when she revolts, we say God has been there watching. We're talking about the effect of the greenhouse, whatever. We're talking about bush burning and so on, climate change. That's a great reality, but sometimes we don't seem to see it. Yeah. So human activities are causing so much havoc in the world, and tomorrow we'll say it's God. My dear friends, let us stop calling God's name in things that human beings perpetuate. In Genesis, God says God gave human beings power, authority to fill the earth, to multiply, and to subdue. So when a human being begins to multiply, over multiply, fill the earth, and begins to subdue negatively, you say it is God watching and not doing anything. What are you doing, if I may ask? What am I even doing myself when evil is happening around me? Do I speak up? But you are God's hands, you are God's eyes, you are God's leg that goes to different places. Do what God has given you authority to do. A still word, fill the earth, subdue, multiply. So speak out when you see evil. Don't wait for God. You have the sign of God in you, the mark of God in you. You are God's children. Do God's work. Do the works of your Father. Jesus was saying, I go about doing the works of my Father, and people were jealous. You know, what are you doing? You need to rise up to the task at hand. To stop thinking it's either this way or that way. No, it can be any which way. So when we begin to deal with people henceforth, let us realize that there are 1,001 ways that things can be done. Things can not only be done in the right or in the left way. It can be done this way, that way, and just goes on and on. That is avoiding dualistic. Dual, two ways of thinking. There are more than two ways of thinking. So to avoid issues with people we work with, we live with, let us imagine that there are thousands of ways. Okay, I do it this way. This person does it this way, this way, this way, this way. Be open to all the ways possible. Dialogue is a solution to such a thing. You can even dialogue with God instead of questioning God or getting angry or worked up over something that God has not done or permitted. You know, can you imagine that you can be a generous human being? Can you imagine that you can live out the beauty of God? God is beautiful. Truth, justice. Can we be these things to people all around us? It is because many times we keep quiet that evil thrives. What are you doing in the face of evil happening around you? Some people, you ask them, they say, pray. No, my dear brothers and sisters, we need to go beyond prayer. We move from prayer to action. Act already. It is time to act. There is always opportunity to act. But are you ready to act? Am I ready to act? Is the question. You know, wisdom. It is possible to live in beauty. It is possible to be generous in the face of evil and all that happens around us daily. Another question or something to imagine would be the little life that we're living now or the bigger life. So there is a bigger picture to life, but we are just satisfied to remain with a smaller picture. Why can't we go beyond the small to the big? In moving from the small to the big, I am not appealing for people to begin to look at life on a high pedestal. The big picture I'm imagining here is that you and I can go beyond our drawing board. We can stretch ourselves, you know, we can do the unimaginable. We can be courageous, you know, we can be men and women of peace, the bigger picture. We can be peace itself. We can be ambassadors of God or even of the world, that wherever we find ourselves, we would speak for peace, we would speak for justice. It's not just social justice activists that should do these things. We are all called to uphold peace and unity wherever we find ourselves. But are we doing that? Ask yourself the question. Look at the bigger picture. If I join hands today with other people helping to make our world a better place, would that not be perfect? Wonderful? Indeed, it will be, friends. So let's begin to imagine along those lines that we want to be part of change makers, not part of the group that demands change. Make it a kind of duty that you belong to the camp that works for change by first changing yourself, not to demand for change from other people or groups or government. Democracy, government of the people, for the people, by the people. But many people will never vote. They don't want to get into politics. They say politics is dirty. Politics is not for Christians. So who will politics be for if Christians don't go into politics? Is it a dualistic way of thinking coming to play here? Christians cannot be in politics. Politicians are the evil people. Christians are the heavenly people. Very funny. As a matter of fact, I belong to the Christian camp, but I admire politics. I love politics. I may get into politics because I want to utilize my gifts of working for justice and those kinds of things as a Christian, learning those virtues and putting them. Somebody will laugh and say it cannot work, and they say it, but I'll laugh and say you're very wrong. It can work. How can it work? thinking along the lines of the serenity prayer that I just shared with us. Lord, give me the serenity um, to be calm about things that I cannot change and having the courage to change the things I can change and the wisdom to know the difference. So, see the middle point. So, there is serenity in the face of upheaval, and there is courage in the face of a situation I can handle, and in between is wisdom. So, you see, we're now profiling ways of avoiding a dualistic way of thinking and acting. Wisdom is what we need in between what I think or and what the other person think, or how I do things and the way another person does their things. In the middle is wisdom. Wisdom to know when to be calm when another person is acting up, knowing that you can't do anything at that point. But another opportunity will come when you will have the courage to defend a cause, to say no, to stand up for the right of the vulnerable, the marginalized, and so on and so forth. We need wisdom. Wisdom is the solution to a dualistic way of thinking, acting, and living our lives. Do you have wisdom? Do I have wisdom? Is another pertinent question we need to ask ourselves. We can build wisdom. We can become leaders. Not all leaders are born. Some leaders are made in the crucible of life's situation. Are you ready to undergo the trials of change makers? Some people shy or run away from the issues related to enabling change. Think about it. Think about it. Do you belong to the camp of people who long for change but never want to raise up their fingers? Or you belong to the camp that wants to work for change and wishes to go the long way? Ask yourself another question. Are you ready to take up the bigger picture? Hmm, dying before truly dying. Many times our dualistic way of thinking and acting kill us even before we mature. You know, people may die before they truly die. So I am looking at a picture whereby saying someone is already dead before they die. Say you live in a place whereby things are happening, but you never talk. You never try to correct or point people in the right direction. Wouldn't you think, or if I was in such a position, wouldn't I be thinking now that I am dying or I have died before I will truly die? You know, that's thinking that we are looking at the animal for slaughter, for say a sacrifice or anything like that. Yes. One thing that I just pinpointed now that makes us people who die before we even die is fear. Fear, 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 fear. Why are you always afraid? Why are you always afraid to take the next bold step? Why am I always afraid to do that? Why are you afraid to cause change wherever you are? Why are you afraid to say the truth? Why are you afraid to imagine that there are 1,001 ways to do one thing? It's not only scientists, innovators, and creators that can think out of the box. That can be a thinking out of the box way of doing things. Yeah, to avoid dualistic way of thinking and acting, we need to start thinking out of the box. Try to imagine that it is not only government or the president that can make things happen in your country or wherever you are. Begin to imagine that you can also impact change, effect change. That is moving beyond a dualistic way of thinking. You can cause change, I can cause change. Let us take up the baton and move forward. Go for the bigger picture in life. Virtuous things. Living a generous life. Beautiful life. Making peace happen around you. Be you. Be authentic. Be authentic. I should be authentic. We need authentic men and women. It is only authentic men and women that can think out of the box because they know that there's always something lurking around the corner, waiting to be unboxed, like the Pandora box. There are many beautiful things in the Pandora box of life, but are you willing to unwrap it? Am I willing to go the extra mile? It is because we are afraid to go the extra mile that we can afford to say life is left or right. No, life can be diagonal, life can be horizontal, life can be vertical, life can be triangular, life can be a square, a circle. Okay. Hi, Jason Onyebuchi. Thank you for joining. Yeah, life can be beautiful. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. What does your eye behold as beauty? That is a wonderful way of not being dualistic. Because, I mean, the way I see beauty is not the way another person sees it. I can see beauty in 101 ways. I can see beauty in the eyes of someone, in the way their body is built, in the way they speak. I can love 100 things in just one person. That is so beautiful and prevents us from looking at life only one way. Somebody can look at a woman and just imagine that the beauty he sees is just on her face. Whereas the heart of the woman could be gold, could be diamond, but you don't want to go beyond the facial whatever. Go beyond the facial, my friend. Look at the hearts of people. Look at the heart of the situation you are facing. Look at the heart of the opportunities there are to solve life's situation. Stop remaining in the dark. Arise, ye sleeper. The day has broken. Stop dualistic ways of doing things. Envision the bigger picture. Oh, yes. it is possible to dream big dreams and even to achieve such big dreams. We need to work. We need to avoid fear. We need to speak out when we must speak out and not hide behind the curtain. We can die only once. Speak out with courage and pause when there is need to pause with wisdom. Wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. We need wisdom, my friends. Okay? Yeah. 9 minutes to midnight. We shall be wrapping up. And what I like to do when I'm wrapping up this program is to do some wonderful, beautiful songs. Yeah. So we've been sharing on the need to stop thinking dualistically, like this way or that way or nothing else. We must stop it if we want to be transformed. It is transformation time. We must be transformed, my friends, to make a better world. Transformation is what we need. Ask yourself wisdom questions, okay? Wisdom question is needful in these days and times. There is beauty in the world. Be generous with your beauty, okay? Be generous, be kind, be everything wonderful to people. Think out of the box. Think that life cannot just be left or right. It can be center, it can be above, it can be by the side. Open your heart to all sorts of worldview, especially in Christianity and spirituality. Don't think that the best religion is your own religion. Don't think that the best spirituality is your own spirituality. Don't think that this group is the best group. Think that every group has something beautiful to offer. Mm? Please, my dear friends, think that life can be beautiful for all of us. Think that you can love everybody and anybody. Imagine, wouldn't it be beautiful if we could love everybody? Oh, indeed, it would be. It would be. It would be beautiful for us to love everybody. So let's listen to Celine Dion's song. I love you. We can tell everybody we love them. Why does my heart beat now? Dun, 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 dun. I must be crazy now. Maybe I drink too much. 'Cause when I think of you, I long to feel your touch, to whisper in your ear. Was that all the start? Was only you were here, baby, you were all I wish I could go back to the very first day I saw you. Should have made my move when you were in my arms. 'Cause by now I know that you feel the way that I do. whisper these words as you lie here at my side. I love you. Please say you love me too. Those three words, they could change your lives forever. And I promise you that we will always be together till the end of time. Mm. Ooh. Mhm. Mhm. So today I finally find the courage deep inside just to walk right up to your door. But my body can't move when I finally get to it. Just 1,000 times before. And kind of where he handed me this later. And I hope this finds the way into your heart. It's sad. I love you. Please say you love me too. Those three words could change your lives forever. And I promise you that we will always be together till the end of time. You never can tell. Somebody could be somewhere who loves you, but you have been afraid of that person. Even though somehow you know that that person could be good inside, but you've been afraid more than 1,000 times before. Sometimes you want to walk to the person and say, I love you, I respect you, I care for you. But because of fear, uncertainty, you turn back at the last moment. Make the bold move. That is the only way change can happen. That is the way we can stop thinking only right or left and begin to embrace everything all around us. Let's try to do this because it's possible, okay? So please like the video, comment, share it, follow me, subscribe, send me stars or gifts as the case may be. You've been hearing the voice of Universal Sister Anne of God. I do this every day, almost midnight time. Join me if you care or have the time. Thank you for joining. Please check out the other part of the live. We shall do this again tomorrow. If you're interested in growing bigger, being aware of the other parts of life that you don't know yet about, keep joining me and we shall continue to learn together. Take care. I love you. Bye. On YouTube, first of all, and then